know why, but you are watching the Madness Comic Network. Are you mental?
It's Flip City Magazine, The Parodies, Special Edition, with savage send-ups of The Walking Dead, Star Trek Picard, Stranger Things, The Mandalorian, Guardians of the Galaxy, and more from the first 4 years of Flip City. Get Flip City The Parodies free when you subscribe in print at flipcitymag.com. The world's best satire magazine, and never, ever woke.
Welcome to the Monday Madness.
What up?
What's going on, Pops?
What's happening?
Fish?
What is up?
Happy St. Patty's Day.
Got my green on. I got my green on right there. Right there.
See, I'm what do you call it? I don't have to. I don't have to wear green today.
You got crime protection you?
You know why? I don't have to. I seriously don't have to. You know why?
You're Irish.
Because my fucking name is Patrick.
Okay.
I ain't got to wear that. I ain't got to. I smoked some green today. We're going to do that for sure. It's St. Patty's Day. I'm not going to be drinking no green shamrock shakes or nothing like that. But you know, I might burn a little something great today. Mr. Fish, welcome to Monday Madness. And that
What's
is
up, man?
what it is. That is what it is. It's madness. We don't control. We have no control. The chat goes off the ball. You know.
Speaking of that, how's it going, Josh?
Thank you, sir, for waiting. You don't have to wait. Just pop in at 5 o'clock Eastern every Monday. We'll be here. I promise you. And this week we have a new guest, somebody that's never been on a network show before.
That's wild.
And it's funny because I met him taping a network show.
The joys of live over taping, man.
Yeah. It's like I met him and you guys didn't get to see it yet.
Not yet, but you will.
Good stuff. So Mr. Fish is a comic creator. He is an illustrator, a letterer, a writer, a editor, a every freaking thing with a huge body of work behind him.
Yeah, I was actually just recounting it up because I was helping make graphics and stuff for a client's Kickstarter, and I was working on the blurbs for everybody's credits, and I was like, you know what, I ought to go double check and recount and make sure where I'm at. I have now worked on 113 books in 6 years and helped raise over $200,000 on Kickstarter now. That's crazy. I was so looking forward to when I cracked 100,000, and the fact that I've gone past 200,000 now that I've helped raise between me and all my clients is freaking nuts. I
That's
didn't expect to get there
work,
that fast.
bro. See, now I've never went and counted all the different people that we've promoted. I mean, I just know we've done thousands of shows.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been one or more guests on every show, and some of those shows had over a dozen because they were segments of CromCon, which was a whole weekend show. We talked to 60 people in one weekend. Now, I never went back and counted up all their things and went, oh man, I've been
When you start crunching the numbers, it gets pretty cool, pretty fast.
Yeah. I know that our YouTube channel just hit 500,000 views.
That's amazing.
That was a big shot in the arm for me, not only because I've seen how many views they've stolen from us. So it's like I figure with the amount they've stolen from us, we're probably closer to actually being at 1 million views. But yeah, what can you know?
And the way it happened was weird because it happened on a short that they're usually cutting off at like 400 views, and that thing shot through the roof at how many thousand?
We had one that went to 3,000 a couple of weeks ago, but
that wasn't it.
I don't want to go into all that, but I can show you hundreds of our shorts that got flatlined at 403, 403 views, and then nothing. Like they turned the switch so nobody can even see it anymore, right? But if you go looking for it, it's shadow banning is what it is. You know, it's like they just kind of make it so people can't find it unless they actually have the link to it, right?
Yeah.
All of them do it. Everybody does it. And I've come to find out, except Pilled.
Oh man, Facebook's bad about it. TikTok can be bad about it. Like Facebook's been bad about it for a long time. If you don't pay them, they're not going to show it to anybody.
Right.
And used to, I could make a post and know at least 4,000 people were going to see it. Now I'm lucky if 200 people see it.
Well, I think they have it so that, like, the algorithm sends everything you do to your top 25 people that engage with you. And then because they engage with it, it might trigger some more people to see it, you know what I mean?
The problem is once they start going to getting you to pay for advertising, they've switched over to trying to milk as much money out of you as they possibly can. And so it's not spend more time on Facebook so we can make more money showing you ads. Now it's how much money can we get out of you as well. And once they switch to that and it becomes predatory on us, then all of a sudden, you know, our views get killed and stuff. And especially if you have professional pages that you're trying to promote, like mine for my comics, you can't freaking see anything unless you're going to pay for advertising. And I'm not going to do that because they keep squashing my views. I don't want to pay them.
And that's the whole thing. It's like they come to us and they're like, pay us more and we'll do less.
Yeah.
No. And that was the same like with StreamYard. They doubled the cost of StreamYard this last year. And it kind of looks like it's more, but it's not. It's actually less because we don't like the changes they've made. They're not
man.
use. I'm not using that scenes thing. I don't like the new short generator. It cuts off the screen. You can't see the whole screen. Can't tell who's talking. No, StreamYard, not an upgrade. Quit charging us more money.
Yeah, Restream, which is what I use, keeps doing the same thing, and they keep moving everything. Every time I go in there, trying to find like where my videos are for my opening and stuff has moved, and it's frustrating. It's not an upgrade if it's making it harder for me to use a program.
Exactly. It's like, now you're charging me more, and I got to work harder. Come on, guys. And send out a tutorial.
That would be nice.
In StreamYard, every time you change something, put something right in our StreamYard that we will see.
Give us something to help figure out how to use the new tools that you stuck everywhere.
We just moved your media assets, or renamed your media assets, because that's not what it used to be, right? They changed it and they split it. Style and media assets used to be one thing. Okay, so in StreamYard they split, but they didn't tell nobody.
No.
That sounds real familiar. Sounds real familiar.
You come in here, you're trying to fumble your way around 2 minutes before your show starts, and you're like,
"Oh man!"
Find anything.
A buddy of mine was just sending out the survey for his Kickstarter. We ended like on the same day, I think, and he was sending out the survey, and he's like, "What the hell? Kickstarter changed everything." And when I went to make mine, I was like, "Oh man, they did," and they've changed everything to be a lot more like BackerKit, trying to put the BackerKit side out, so people quit going somewhere else for all those extra features, which has made it a lot more complex now to make your surveys and stuff. But
dude, I remember they did that once to Lori in the middle of a campaign. They switched a bunch of stuff, and then like tiers were missing, and it was like, what the hell happened? And like in the middle of a campaign, they switched stuff around. It's like, come on.
Yeah, you got to be careful what you're doing there, because some people are depending on this. Like, this is half of how I make my living. Like this, and then doing books for clients is how I, keep a roof over my family's head. So like, I need this to come through right and on time, and I need to be able to count on it. Yeah. I mean, one nice change they've made recently is late pledges, which I've used on this one. So like, even though technically the campaign for Green Zone 1 through 4 is over, the late pledges are still open. And the backer count doesn't continue to go up. I'm like 5 backers since this was ended. And for some reason that hasn't changed, but I've made like almost an extra $100 since the campaign ended.
They should leave the 112. That was your backer count before, but they should have a date this many cents. You see what I mean? Be cool. You see what I mean? It's like, we picked up this many more since it ended, so people realize that it's still open, and that
people are still backing it. They can still get stuff.
I wish they would talk to comic people when they're changing things in the comic settings. You know what I mean? Because Kickstarter, you think about it, guys, they sell lawn chairs, It's not a comic platform. It's a sales platform. It's a place where a lot of people sell stuff. And when they make changes, they're not always necessarily comic friendly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Now, let's get on with this, man. Let's talk a little bit about, your history. Like you said, 113 previous campaigns, and you've done this as wearing all the different hats. Right?
Yeah, usually, most of the time, like, I'm a one-stop shop. If you have a script for a comic that you want to get done, you've had this idea since you were a kid, you got some money in the back pocket now that you're grown up and you want to make your comic happen, you hit me up. You give me the script, and I give you a finished comic book, and I do the pencils, the inks, the colors, the lettering, the whole 9 yards, and it works really cool. I do use a flatter to block out the colors for me, so it makes my process of coloring a whole lot faster. Right. I thought it was ridiculous. I thought it was a waste of time, a waste of money. Why would you pay somebody to do that? Until I realized how much time I spend making the same freaking selections over and over again. Like, how many times, if I was coloring this originally, I would have to go around and around his face selecting that each time I wanted to paint that. And now I just I pay her $10 and the whole page is flatted and his face is the same color on every panel. I can just select that color and he's selected everywhere. I don't have to trace anything out again. That I used to get like a book done a month at least. That was my basis, was I would get a book done a month. When I hired her, the book I was working on, I got done in 12 days. And since then, it has just sped me up even faster because it's changed the way I do my process so that I can keep her busy with pages. And that sped me up. Like when I'm only penciling, I can pencil a book in like a couple of days usually. And especially if I'm doing the inking, I penciled one book that I was only the penciler on for an inker, which has to be tighter than my pencils for myself. And I got it done in 28 hours. I was kicking myself that I took a nap that freaking day, because if I hadn't taken that nap, I would have got it done in 24 hours. But,
all right. So on a side note here, have you ever competed in the 24-hour challenge?
I have not. Usually because like when the 24-hour challenges hit, I'm usually like up to my neck trying to make sure I hit a deadline on a book. And I'm like, oh, I could do it, but I can't. I don't want to risk it, because as of yet, I've brushed up against a couple deadlines, but I have not missed a deadline yet in 113 books. So I'm trying to keep that streak alive.
Gotcha. I did 5 of them in a row. And the second one, I was on a deadline myself. I didn't do the challenge, but I stayed up for 24 hours inking the book. So
he's imposed his own 24-hour challenges on himself. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's done a few of those. I think you sent me a link to those. There's actually video of some of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one of my problems. Like, especially after a Kickstarter, I usually like crash off of social media for a while after the Kickstarter campaign, because I've had to spend so much time pitching the book during the campaign and so much time on camera, like, hey, it's your Uncle Fish, da, 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 and, trying to get the word out there on as many podcasts as I can so that people will see the book and go back it. That like once the campaign's over, I'm like, okay, I got to start knocking out pages, because like I'm a week behind where I should be on this client's book or something.
Right.
And like I got COVID at the beginning of this one. So I was like barely pitching the book, and I was getting a little bit of work done on my book, and that was pretty much it. I had to catch up on my client's work after I got off with COVID, and I had to hurry up and get that book done. And it's gorgeous, but I kind of wonder if I shouldn't get COVID more often, because it actually came out really nice. But oh man,
nice.
You could just hit yourself with a monthly flu. I'm sure you'd be fine. You ain't got to go all out. I mean,
it's amazing what a little fever, cold medicine, and deadlines will do, man. You can get some really cool looking stuff done really quick when you need to.
Theraflu, baby. We live on that stuff now.
Yeah, probably has nothing to do with a little bit of methamphetamine that's in that, right?
Oh no, that nothing to do at all. Not at all. Yeah, that's just my baseline normal.
Right. Right.
We call that acetaminophen.
The reason why you got to show ID now for cough syrup at the pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I need some Benadryl. Oh man, you got ID for that?
Oh man. And when I think about what we could buy out of the gas stations when I was in high school, I mean, by the bottle full, man, I could run so freaking fast.
No dose. You remember that no dose stuff back in the day?
And the mini thins and
yes.
Yeah.
I did after graduation, I had to pack up a U-Haul and take my sister's stuff to Minot, North Dakota. I'm in Spokane, Washington. So I had to drive across Idaho and Montana, right? I did the trip in 16 hours, and I just took a 6-pack of Coca-Cola in my cooler, a bunch of Twinkies, and some fucking no-dos. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I got up to one point, I was popping like 100 of those ephedrine tablets at a time out of some of those bottles. And man, my hair would get to dancing, and
Yeah.
I literally have never run so fast in my life. My legs are like 8 miles long, man. Once I got to actually pumping those things,
Right.
I couldn't stop. I literally could not stop. I had to run into the side of the freaking shop building at school to stop because,
Mhm.
like, I was not going to manage any other way,
Oh,
and
man.
just brushed myself off and went into class.
Do you remember you could just buy that stuff right out of the back of magazines?
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
Mine was I filled up at the Circle K by my house when I left.
Oh,
I bought
yeah.
everything there at Circle K.
You used to buy a bottle of like 100 of those tablets that they would turn around and turn into meth for like $3 or something.
Yeah.
It was.
Terrible.
Then next thing you know, it's all outlawed, and and I fully understand why, because it was not a healthy way to survive. My doctor at one point was like, you're gonna die, right? And I was like, but I'm so fast. And
But I'll get there in a hurry.
Yeah. I'm getting so much work done.
I showed my shrink at one point. I was like, but look how many drawings I'm getting done. And he was like, yeah, and they all look like you're strung out on speed. They all did, man. They've all got these like big giant eyes and stuff. They're all frantic. And yeah. Good times. No wonder my heart's so jacked up now.
Yeah.
And my nervous system is fried.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's go ahead and give this book some love.
Back to selling the book. Speaking of drug use, Green Zone: Life in the Blocks is it's a story where anybody can be born a mutant in this world, and if you are deemed a threat to society. You are a supervillain waiting to happen. So if you have any mutation, no matter how slight, whether you look like a skinny Korean kid or you look like an 8-foot tall lizard monster, you lose your citizenship, all of your rights. You get shoved into the green zones, which are like big concentration camps, and the world forgets about you because you're a monster and they're better off. And
that's hard.
if you want to get out and make a better life for yourself, the only way out is to prove you're not a threat to humanity by serving the greater good for 5 years. So if you join the military or the fire department or sanitation or join the police force, you serve 5 years without using your powers, without going to prison for hurting somebody. You prove you're not a monster, you're not a threat, then you can get your citizenship and move out. So you end up with a bunch of people that are really poorly equipped to be cops, trying to be cops, because it's their best shot to get out of the ghetto and make a better life. Like Virgil is 8 feet tall. He's like 600 pounds. He's terrifying looking. When he gets really scared, his blood pressure shoots high and he sprays blood out of his eyes, which is not a great superpower to have. But, that's what he's stuck with. And everybody sees him as a monster. He is the kindest, sweetest, gentlest dude in the world. All he wants to do is get out and open a little bookshop and hide in the back and never talk to anybody again. But he can't own a business or do anything without getting his citizenship first. So even though he got the crap beat out of him at 5 years old and caught his first felony charge at 5, and he hates the cops, he hates living in the blocks more. So he's willing to risk his life to try and get out. And then you've got people like Billy here that he grew up with his dad having citizenship from being in the Army. So he grew up in an integrated school. He was like star of the football team. He's one of those like, I can do anything I put my mind to. Nobody's going to give more than I am kind of guys. And he gets a rude awakening when he gets, from school into the police department, and he's, around humans that view him as a monster and don't see him as human. And he gets a rude awakening.
Two things on Billy back there. The first one, great name for the Billy Goat, right? And the second one is I have a brother named Bill, and when he was going to be born, his dad was like, "We're going to call him Bill," and it's like, no, you got to name him William, and then call him Bill, right? So I love the fact that there's a little card up here that says William Brooks.
Yeah,
Will Brooks. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and in the source book, it's all like police reports and stuff on the characters because I wanted to stay on brand, and which also you can tell the reports are written by like human training officers and stuff, so they all have a real slant against them. and one of the notes in his file under like aliases is, you know, like William, Will, Bill. Don't call him Billy Goat. And he's got the only blemish on his record ever is for like nearly assaulting a training officer for calling him Billy Goat.
Oh, gotcha. Nice.
And and one of the, like, even the sergeant in his bio, like, there's a note about, like, he has a scar on his lower abdomen, you know, from an alleged appendectomy. Why would you lie? Like, why would you lie about having an appendectomy? But, you know, you can't trust him because he's a genome and he's shady. You can't,
So
you
what did he
can't
say
trust
it was? What kind of scar did he say it was, but wasn't an appendectomy anymore?
Well, it's allegedly an appendectomy.
Oh,
You
well,
know.
what? You get stabbed? What?
Well, that's the thing. Like, in the book, they get sent down. In the book, Virgil, Brooks, and Bellamy get randomly selected for genetic testing at the beginning of their shift because they're the three scariest looking genomes on the lineup. And so they send them down for random genetic tests because, like, if your mutation is too far off a human, then you don't even qualify. You're an animal, you're livestock. They could put you down if you're a problem. You lose any form of having any rights at all. And when you look like Virgil, of course you have to be a monster. Of course you have to be an animal. And there are, like, mutant animals like the Ninja Turtles and stuff. Like, there are things like that in this world too. So you got to keep an eye out. And when they test him and find out that his mutation is actually the least out of anybody that's been tested that morning, the doctor's like, oh, messed up faulty samples, and gets out this big drill to drill into his arm to get a core sample, because we got to prove that you're really the monster that you look like. And his arm is all scarred up from having a million of these tests, and nobody's ever believed him. His arm's nothing but scars. And, you know, and in the record, it's saying, like, obviously he's more violent than in his record because he has all these scars. But the scars are from them testing him. But no, none of that's true. Can't be that. Oh, man. If you didn't get in on the Kickstarter, you can still back it now for the late pledges. Thank you so much for backing it. It's a really amazing world. There's a lot of depth, and there's so much cool stuff going on in this world. Like Bellamy, unbeknownst in the book, this is secret information just for your viewers. Bellamy is a late bloomer, and so she was perfectly human a couple of years ago. And then, you know, like, in college, she's got a well-to-do family. She's going to college. She's going to take over the family business, all of this stuff. And then all of a sudden her body hair starts turning into razor sharp quills. And her well-off family disowns her and cuts her out of, you know, the family's history. And now she's on her own. She has a nicer place in the blocks because she has a little bit of money, but she's never grown up around genomes before. They've always been those scary other monsters that, you know, even though her parents might have done, like, charity balls to raise money for them, they were still these other things that we didn't talk to. Now she is one of these scary genomes. She doesn't know how to act around them. She doesn't know how to act around people being afraid of her. But if she accidentally bumped into you on the subway, she could go to prison for the rest of her life for sticking you with her quills. So she has to figure out how to live in this life, how to be a cop, how to take down people that could be Virgil's size when she's 5 feet tall and 90 pounds, and not accidentally stick somebody and go to prison, which she accidentally does in book 2. Her training officer grabs her by the arm, and by the end of book 3, looks like a training officer could be dead. And so, like,
actual fans of you in the chat right now. Chris is Chris is an associate sponsor of the Madness, and he was a backer of you before you ever appeared on the Madness. What do you think of that, huh?
It's been really neat going back and looking through the backers on this campaign as I was making notes and stuff. Oh, dude, you got to recall, man. It is so freaking fun. Oh, my God, it's so much fun. But looking back through the backer report on this one, I'm seeing these names that have been following me around from one book to another for, some of them 6 years now. And that's freaking awesome to know that many people, especially people that I don't talk to every day. Like, I forget that I have fans because a lot of them just end up becoming my friends because they hit me up and we start talking. And now I'm like, oh yeah, how's your mama? And them, how did your dad's test go? Because like, we're friends. I forget that they didn't know me before they read Green Zone.
And see, that's the same with me. It's like a lot of these people, I was fans of all these people, and I still am fans of all these people, but now they're all my friends too, and it's like, it's just an everyday thing to just promote them, talk about them.
Hey, look at that, sharing the square site. I appreciate it.
Chris not only is a super backer of people on Kickstarter, but he's got like 17 or 19 campaigns under his belt.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, he does games and graphic novels and all kinds of stuff. So.
Speaking of super backers, you're at 360 what on yours? How many have you backed?
Oh man, I gotta go back and look now. I don't remember. I honestly, I don't pay attention. What is it?
It was a ton.
Absolute it's ton. Like 353 or 63 or something like that.
I think it's
Oh, here it is, 353. Okay, there it is.
Wow.
A long time ago, I set myself a goal. I set myself a budget of like what I could afford to spend per month on Kickstarter. And I was like, I'm going to be sure to spend at least that much every month. And I ended up getting a little credit card that only has like a $300 limit on it. So I can't go too crazy on Kickstarter. And that's my Kickstarter card. And that way I don't have to worry about if I have the money in the bank whenever the campaign ends. It goes on the credit card, and then I pay the credit card off when I get paid on my next book or whatever. And it works out wonderfully for me. It keeps me on a budget. And I started making a point to do that. And real quickly, I've backed a lot of books.
This right here is also one of our associate sponsors. And this is the guy I was telling you about, Critical Blast Logistics and Publishing and Fulfillment. And he just does it all. Okay. So if you ever get to the point where you don't want to deal with bagging and boarding and all that crap, man, just call RJ. He will handle all that part for you. All the fulfillment. He does it all, bro. And
I tell you, that's the part that stressed me out the most and scared me the most about doing this.
This doesn't cost you anything. The cost that his fee comes out of the shipping cost. Okay, you get with him ahead of time. He sets up how much you're charging for shipping because he knows the weight of everything. You tell him I got a 32-page floppy with 80 stock cover and blah blah blah, and I'm putting in 4 of these prints and I'm putting in a couple other things. He goes, oh, that weighs 1.3 ounces. It's like he just knows because he's done all this so much that his shipping database is ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean, that's a great way to do it, though, to just put it in the shipping cost and get his fee covered. And that is a brilliant way to do it.
Yeah, it doesn't cost you anything, and you don't have to worry about knowing that your stuff's going to get in people's hands. He started doing his gig the same time I started doing my gig. And we've been side by side, trying to help each other ever since. And I ain't never had nobody come to me and go, man, RJ Service really screwed me over. My stuff didn't get to my fans. I ain't never had somebody come to me and go, man, I got a package from Critical Blast that was all messed up. I ain't never heard of either thing, not from a creator or a fan, that they were unhappy with the service. So
the only problem I've ever had is I like doing custom things like for almost all of my campaigns, I do a handwritten thank you card for everybody. And, and it's customized to you and thank you for this handwritten. And I like doing it for my OCD mostly because it's another triple check that, okay, like this is Chad's card, this is Chad's book, this is his order, all right, this is his address label. It all goes together and it works for my OCD, so I don't mind making custom thank you cards for everybody. I like signing the books and stuff like that.
So check this out from the other side. he has a campaign, 112 backers, right? 14 of them got this tier. 8 of them got this tier. That's tier A, tier B, tier C. Dink, dink, dink. Package labels for tier A. Dink, 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 dink. On the package, they're out the door. Package labels for tier D, tier B. Dink, 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 dink. They're out the door. His system is so quick and easy, bro.
Oh man, and I'm learning new stuff each time. Like I ordered a package from a friend of mine at Avena Comics, and when I did, it came with this separate bagged and boarded little thing that had like all the extras in it. And I was like, oh my God, that alone is brilliant. Because like I've been before that, when I was doing my campaigns, like if it was time to pack like Levi's order, I would sign his comic and I would put it in a bag and board, and I would put stickers in there and the bookmarks and like whatever else he ordered,
right,
and put it all in there. And then I would go on and I'd do Pops and I'd sign his comic and I would do it all that way. And then once I started thinking about it more like assembly line, and I just sign a stack of 200 comics and bag and board all those, and like me and my wife can pack little packages for like, this is what goes in Pop's order, all the extras he ordered in this one little thing, boom, put the thank you card in there so I can match it up later. And we can do that while we're watching TV one night and have all those ready. So when the books come in, we sign them and all that stuff. And then boom, just grab the books, grab that thing, stick it in a box, wrap it up, and we're done. And that cut my packing time from like 3 days down to a day. And I was like, oh my God, I wish I'd been doing this all along.
And that's it. I know a lot of people, right, that get, between 100 and 300 backers, and between two people, they can get fulfillment pretty much handled and out the door in a couple days, right? Mm-hmm. As long as you have that second person there, because man, if you get caught in doing it, I've had people tell me this, man, I got so caught up in doing that before I know it, I was packaging stuff like making 3 packages wrong because I just got in a rhythm of making this package, right? And then, oops, I had to go back and redo those 3 because they didn't have everything in them was supposed to be in them. You got to have a second person there giving you that check up,
That's what I like doing, like you were saying too. Like this is all of people that ordered package A and put all that together. Some of them are going to have some extra stuff, somebody ordered some extra add-ons.
Then that would be a different tier. You see the way you
go through everything that has like just the physical copy. Do all that. Yeah, it goes so much easier and helps me not get confused and stuff. But I had to open I got to admit, I had to open I think 40 packages last time because I forgot to stick a special print if you cross-promoted and backed the backer kit for my Alice book and the backer kit for my partner's book. You got this special print, and I forgot that. So I had to go back and open 40 packages and stick this print in and then tape it up again.
I have a question for you about backer kit.
Yo.
When they pair you up with somebody to promote with, does it annoy you that they don't allow you to just go find somebody that you want to pair up with?
Well, I was a part of the Comictopia, the first Comictopia that they did, because Pentopia did so good and got so much money in. They did a Comictopia one, and I got invited in from some friends that were in it, and I got brought in late, so I got paired with out of a couple of the people that were in late that hadn't already paired up. If I had signed up 2 weeks earlier, I could have picked who I wanted to, and I could have picked one of my friends, and we could have, cross promoted, and it would have been a whole lot easier to do it with somebody that I knew and somebody that was easier to work with.
That's what I was asking. Is that option available?
It usually, in that one, if you signed up in the beginning, you got put in a Discord group, and you could pick among whoever you wanted to. If we both had zombie books, then that's an obvious one to go to. But if you've got a friend there that really well, and their book's going to be done on time, it was finished before it ever went to backer kit, so was mine. Let's team up and we can get our stuff out quick.
They'll actually work with you and cross promote with you and stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes might get paired up with somebody that doesn't know anything about you, and there's no cross promotion. There's no there's no work together.
Which I'll do anything I can to help anybody and do any cross promotion or do variant covers and stuff. Like, that's part of the things about being as fast as I am that's nice is like it's not hard for me to knock out a variant cover or a pinup or something if we want to that has both of our characters on there, and we can do it as a print for people that back both. That's easy. I can do that in an hour or two, no problem. So that kind of stuff is fun for me. Other people kind of freak out at that because they're like, oh, I don't want to have to pay somebody $500 to do that. And I'm like, no, I got it. Don't worry. I'll do it. And
that's the thing about the madness. There's so many people that are just like you that are willing to reach out and help somebody else make their project better.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And those are the kind of people that I really want to be part of this, are the people that are willing to help others and make their products better. I want better stuff. I just want it to keep getting better and better and better. And that happens by everybody helping each other. Man.
Absolutely. It's like variant covers. You know, most of the time, I have very rarely met very few people that like make their money back on variant covers with the money that it raises. Like having a tier that's all of the covers will be the tier that will bring in the most money. But even then, still, usually it doesn't cover the amount of money that you spend on the variant covers.
Right.
But what really burns me up is if you spend like, say, $500 on a variant cover from somebody, and then you can't get them to share a post or anything to their fans to say, hey, I got a cover, you know, on this book that's live on Kickstarter. And like, I've worked with publishers before that like, they will make the post for you. Like all you got to do is literally click copy and paste and share. And that's it. Like it takes half a second for you to do that and they won't do it. And I'm like, why would you not? That book being successful that I did a variant cover on is only going to make me, you know, me a better draw to them. If I'm helpful in getting the word out, if I'll share any post that comes my way to help get the word out on your book, why would I not do that? That's going to make you more likely to hire me for the next variant cover. Like, it seems like a no-brainer.
When you're going through the boxes of hiring a freelancer and you're checking the boxes, one of the requirements nowadays in the independent circuit should always be, does he toot his own horn? Does he promote himself? Does he, and unless they check that box.
Or will he promote other people too? Because like, I've bought covers from people that would toot their own horn, but right. they wouldn't even toot mine once.
No, that's what I mean. The toot as far as like bringing their fan base to your project, you know.
And then there's another thing that I think there's another thing that people get wrong with variant covers. Okay, variant covers are going to be bought mostly by people who collect comics. Mm-hmm. Okay, the first thing we're going to want to know is there's only 10 of them. There's only 20 of them. Okay, we don't want to know that you're going to print as many as people order, because then it's not really a rare thing. You might sell more of those than your A cover. Mm-hmm. Okay, which makes your A cover more rare and technically more valuable.
Oh, man.
So limit the amount of variants, not how many. You could have 100 variants, but only make 10 of each.
I had Seth DeMoose do a variant cover for the last 2 issues of Caw. This is one of them I turned into a poster. They are absolutely my favorite freaking covers, and I didn't do them. And that makes me a little bit mad because he really killed it on these. And I made it because I believe if you're going to do a variant cover, it should be limited. It should be something that's special that you can only get right here, right now. And it's a limited edition. So the ones I printed up for the campaign are the only ones that are going to exist. And
people know that when they know they're going to be able to get that, and there's only so many of them, then the value, okay, like you get some big name to do a variant cover for you, and then you only release 20 of them, enough to make your money back.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
And like this one up here, I released because of my buddy Travis Gibb. When I first released Green Zone, it was through Freestyle Comics as a publisher, and they had this green stripe across the top of the book because they have a stripe across the top of all their books, so everything matches. he wanted a variant cover with the green stripe across the top, and all the other covers up until this point had been them in a lineup and against the height chart. And so I figured, well, if I'm going to do a variant cover, it's going to be of Sergeant Kim, and mainly because he's so short, and I think it's fun to have him on there when Virgil's at 8 feet and he's, not even breaking 5. And so I did this variant cover, and it's limited to this campaign. And now that kind of bugs me, because I really kind of want to make this the cover that I print in bulk, because I like this cover a little bit more and it matches with the other ones a little bit better. But I said this was a variant cover that was only going to be available for this, so that's what it is. And even though I would kind of like to make that the main cover now, I can't, because that's what I said, and that's what I'm going to stick to. So this is your only chance to get it. So, order up now, because they ain't going to be around for long.
Yep, I'm kind of like the same way. There's many times where I've said something that may have hurt future possibilities, but my word is my word.
Mm-hmm. And like
I don't go
these
back
posters.
I'm not a sellout. I'm never gonna be.
These posters were variant covers I had Drew Moss, that's doing Thundercats right now, do for me, and I absolutely loved them. Those covers were only printed in the amount they were printed. I still have a few of them in packs of all the issues that I sell at cons, sometimes for people that want them, but I can't print any more of them because it was a limited edition. But I did decide to make posters with that artwork, because the artwork is so beautiful, and that image of Bellamy is just so beautiful and so sad. And he took Virgil back to the original, like, Horny Toad inspiration, and it's so crazy, and I love it. It's so great.
So speaking of Bellamy, she seems to be the perfect candidate for the everyman in the story. Is there a who's the protagonist in the story?
It's in a lot of ways it is an ensemble cop show kind of thing. Which is one of the biggest complaints I got from a colleague of mine. It was like, it feels like a cop show, like an episodic cop show. And I was like, yeah, because that's what it is. And
literally every single
it's
year.
taking place in a very weird situation with weird people, but that's what it is. And Virgil is kind of the main character. We see a little bit more of his life, mostly because he lives in a rougher situation, like where Brooks still lives at home with his parents, and Bellamy lives in a nice little apartment, by herself on the better side of the green zone. Virgil lives in the blocks, which are these giant overbuilt ghettos, that are these giant brick things so that you can't destroy them if you've got fire powers or whatever. And so he lives in the blocks. It's ruled by a gang. And so there's lots of cool interactions that happens in there, because he has to walk past the gang leader's apartment just to get out of the building. And so he's constantly under threat. He's constantly being harassed. The only reason the gangs haven't been able to force him to work for them yet is because he doesn't have anybody. There's nobody in the world. He's been alone his entire life. He's never had a mom or a dad.
They can't threaten his family. They can't blackmail him.
There's nothing to take from him. He lives in a maintenance closet that he's put a mattress in and is squatting in. He doesn't even have an apartment. He's never worn clothing that he hasn't pulled out of a dumpster. He's never eaten anything that he hasn't pulled off the floor. He has nothing to lose. And so there's nothing to take. There's nothing to intimidate to take from him. And so, he's used to losing. He's used to suffering. And, you just can't scare him. And it's not going to come until later, when he actually has friends and has people that care about him, that now there is something to take from him. But he still has to go home at the end of the night to the blocks that are full of people that now hate him and think he's a race traitor. They already thought he was a monster. And there's a lot of self-hate in the Green Zone community. The worse you look, the more the other genomes hate you, which actually comes from my experience in the Tourette's community, because I have Tourette syndrome. And I have a particularly severe case of Tourette syndrome that put me in a wheelchair for 15 years, and I couldn't walk, talk, or see most of that time. And I'm very blessed to be able to do as much as I can do now. But I spent 15 years, like, I was lucky if I could get one thumb to work and half of an eye open to be able to, like, tap on my phone to talk to people online. Like, I couldn't even talk to my wife and kids most of the time. And there's such animosity in the Tourette's world between people that have severe Tourette's and people that have real mild Tourette's. And, you know, like, parents being mad that, like, you with the severe Tourette's is the reason everybody makes fun of my kid and thinks that they're going to be screaming out curse words in class and they're going to do all this stuff that they don't do, but then all they do is sniff and blink a lot. And then the people with severe Tourette's that have to have brain implants to be able to function and need guide dogs to be able to walk and are bound to wheelchairs and stuff are like, what are you complaining about? You sniff and blink a lot, and I can't drive, I can't hold a job, I can't do any of this normal everyday stuff. And
my family member, he flicks his bangs.
Oh man, I used to shake so violently I can't imitate it, because I gave myself so many concussions from shaking my head so much over the years that if I shake my head no too hard now, I will give myself another concussion. And I've learned the hard way, I can't even imitate my tics the way they used to be, because if I get a quarter of the way to how bad they used to be, I will give myself a concussion again. Like, I've had to take music out of my liked songs playlist because it's too good, and I start bumping my head, and then I'm in the dark for 2 weeks with a headache.
Right.
If I could not bang my head anymore, it would drive me crazy.
Yeah, it was like losing a limb. It was tough, man. Those concussions are no freaking joke, man.
I mean, I'm old now. Banging my head hurts the next day, but I still get to bang my head.
Yeah.
Your neck felt the next day.
Oh man, it's so much worse when I shaved my head. I didn't realize how much pressure all that long hair took when off of it. But once that's gone, you're just wagging bone around, and that hurts.
Right.
It is not the same.
You gotta have the hair to headbang, man.
Yeah.
If you don't have the hair, you're a mosh. Okay, you're a mosh pit without the hair.
Yeah. But so yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff from my life is in this book actually. Like Virgil getting attacked by the cops because, like, he says no sir to them, and they take that as an insult, because everybody, all the genomes hate the G Unit. They hate the genome cops because they're race traitors. They're, you know, you're turning on your own kind. You think you're better than us, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And so, and the G Unit, they tend to come like to take their stress out on the other genomes and, you know, throw their force around and, you know, take advantage of the situation. And they come up like threatening this little girl for using her powers just to make her little doll dance. And they're just being bullies and throwing their weight around. And Virgil gets in between them. And when he says no, sir, they take that as an insult because nobody talks to them without insulting them. And he's trying not to get killed, and he's trying to be polite. And then they beat the crap out of him. And, like, I nearly got shot by a cop for saying yes, sir, and no, sir to him. And so that's exactly where this come from. But
yeah, I've had loony cops point guns at me more than once, bro.
Oh man, there's nothing better than, you know, people wouldn't believe often that I am actually a licensed and ordained pastor now, but you'd be having a conversation with, like, friends at church, and, you know, they tell a story about high school and I tell a story about high school, and all of a sudden the room gets real quiet, and I realize, oh, nobody else has ever had a gun pointed at them before.
Nobody's
sorry.
Stuffed. Come on.
I forget that my stories are a little out of left field for a lot of people because they didn't grow up the same way I grew up.
I've had good guys and bad guys point guns at me.
Oh man, I sat there and partied with a guy one week. Just for the next week, he made it what do you call it? You know, when you have to prove yourself to join a gang. Yeah. He made it, you know. Yeah, he made it the initiation of his gang that they had to shoot me to get in. Like, we just got high together last week at a party, having fun, cracking up. The next week, he's standing down the hallway, and this kid's sitting there shaking, holding a gun at me in the hallway. And I'm like, well,
Crazy.
I'm either going to die or I'm not. So I walked up to him and I stared him in the face. And I was like, if you pull the trigger, you had better kill me. Because if you don't, I'm going to take that gun from you. I'm going to beat you down, and then I'm going to eat you. And I just stared at him like I was seriously about to eat this kid. And he pissed himself and left. And dude was so mad at me for making his dude look like a punk. I'm like, man, we just were cool. Like,
Right.
what the hell?
Crazy
Hey,
people.
I had a cop point a gun at me on Christmas Day, bro. On Christmas Day, I'm driving to McDonald's.
That is not your stalking.
Now, I have a muscle car, right? I got an old Nova. It's fast. It's loud. I'm driving toward McDonald's, and I see a dude coming my way, so I let off the gas a little bit. He hears it cycling down, and he thinks I was really speeding, and he flips a U-turn and chases my ass to McDonald's and jumps out of his car and pulls out his gun, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Seriously, what is wrong?
Oh, yeah.
You know, you don't have me clocked at any speed. You know, it's like, can you call your boss?
Oh, man.
Can you call your boss?
I had a cop try and ram me on my freaking newspaper route. When I married my first wife, I had a paper route so I could try and devote my rest of my day to doing this, you know, like a big paper route. I had to drive all over town. And it's the middle of the night, and one of the stops on my route is the funeral home right before this trailer park, and the cop had just driven through their big circle driveway to make sure nobody was messing around in there. So he's pulling out as I pull in and drive past the front door and toss my newspaper out. Well, he turns around and goes through the circle drive to see what I'm up to. By the time he does that, I'm pulling into the trailer park. Well, I see him coming after me like, okay, he'll stop me. I'll show him a newspaper. That'll be the end of it. And I make the first turn in the trailer park to go down the first line of houses. I'm throwing houses. I see him zip past, you know, at high speed, misses me, and then I hear him squall on his brakes. And he backs up, comes barreling down this thing. I pulled into one house, throw the paper on the porch. I start to back up, and I see him just coming straight at me at high speed. And literally, I had just watched a show the night before about how cops had started using this maneuver to take cars out, you know, on chases. If it hadn't have been for that, he would have hit me. Like, I didn't know what he was doing if it hadn't have been for that show the night before. So I put it in drive and drove into their front yard. He came squalling through the yard, nearly took out the next trailer. He gets out with his gun, screaming, "Put your hands up." I stuck both hands out the window with a newspaper in my hand. He started cussing, slammed his door, and took off. Like, I mean, it's been crazy, the freaking experiences I've had with cops.
The 2 times it happened to me as an adult, I was subcontracting for UPS. I was detailing the trucks. The trucks are only available from 6 at night until 6 in the morning. So, and I would be randomly in these depots in the region. So I would only be there like once every 3 months. And both times it was there. I'm waxing a UPS truck, and I have the corner of my eye, I got a cop coming in at me, you know, with his guns drawn because he thinks I'm robbing UPS. You know, like,
Yeah,
no.
I'm just making sure I wax it as I leave, so I don't leave fingerprints.
Before we steal them, guys. Yeah.
Or if I do leave fingerprints, by God, it's going to be on a pristine surface.
Yeah, I'm licensed and bonded, guys. My fingerprints are federal checked. It's like, yeah. But both times it was like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
doing my job.
The one that did that to me is like after he calmed down and stuff is like he's like, I know you just ditched into this McDonald's hoping that I wouldn't see you, and I'd go screaming by, and I pulled out my phone and I was like, look, here's a text to my girlfriend. I said, I'm going to McDonald's. What do you want?
You just did that.
Now he's apologizing because I'm wanting to talk to his sergeant. You know, it's like, dude, you pulled a gun on me on Christmas Day for no fucking reason. I want to talk to your boss.
Man.
You know, it's like, I want to talk to your boss, dude. Are you mad because they're making you work on Christmas? Not my fault, bro.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I got long hair. Ooh, scary.
And that's one thing. Like, I've had a lot of really bad experiences with cops. I've also like been good friends with a lot of cops, and I've heard a lot of their stories. And then I've heard a lot of their stories that break my heart. I've heard a lot of their stories that have straight up made me mad with, like, how can you not realize what you did was criminal? Like that's not right. And they're laughing because like this is just something they do, but you get, it's like a frog in a pot of hot water. Once you've been in it long enough, you don't realize that the situation isn't messed up. You're just used to it.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
the problem I've had selling this book at cons is as soon as I say the word cops, people make an assumption one way or the other what the book is about. And whatever side of the road they stand on cops, they're assuming that my book is on the other side, and I'll get the stink eye. And wherever you stand, whatever you think about cops, that's not what this book is about. Like, this book is a whole different thing. It's like the Rookie set in a really weird situation. It's like X-Men meets Training Day. Like, it is people in a bad situation, and this is their only way out, and everybody's against them, and the deck stacked against them, and are they going to be able to make it through? Like, are they going to survive making it through this trial by fire? And like, by the end of the first issue, one of the Bellamy and her training officer are getting arrested for showing up at a call that was called in and, trying to help pick up a shoplifter, and they nearly get shot for that. By the end of the second issue, the police station has been attacked by one of the gangs and blown up. By the end of the third issue, like, one dude's had a building fall on him. Virgil's had all the skin burned off the back of his body. And Bellamy's training officer, who grabbed her arm in, a fit of passion, like, trying to pull her off of a bad situation, got stuck in the hand and it got infected. Yeah. And now she's laid out on the ground, passed out with this nasty infection going through her body. And we don't know if she's going to live or die. So issue 4 picks up on the way to the hospital, and we see what happens to Danny, and we find out more about his family. What happens to Virgil and the burns on his body? Does Walter survive? We find out how deep the corruption goes in the city. And there's lots of cool cameos now from a lot of my Kickstarter backers, because when I had some crowd scenes to fill, I started going down my backer list from like first to back and started sticking people in there. So it's going to be a surprise when a lot of people get this and are like, oh, hey, wait a minute, that's me.
So it does seem like the story is still growing towards that apex moment. How many issues do you have planned?
That's the thing. Like, because it's a lot like an episodic cop show. The first 4 issues is their first shift. Like, that arc is their first shift on the force. And it would be like, really, it'd be like the pilot episode for the show. I could go another 100 or 200 issues on this if people like it and they want to keep backing it. Or, if they don't, I don't have to. But I mean, like, I could tell this story for the rest of my life. Like, I know what happens to Virgil, 5 years from now and 10 years from now. And I know where he eventually ends up and, what eventually happens to him. He's a lot like Sisyphus in the beginning. He just keeps rolling that stone up the hill, and no matter how hard he tries, it keeps biting him in the butt, and it keeps making my editors cry. Like, why are you so mean to Virgil? And I'm like, because some people can't win for losing. Some people, just like, no matter how hard you try, you cannot catch a break, and you could do everything right, and the world could still come by and kick you in the teeth sometimes. Yeah. And that's been Virgil's life up until now, and that's going to be Virgil's life for a while. But we're starting to see him do things like make friends and stuff that he's never done before. Like, he risks his life in issue 3 going back and forth in this fire trying to find Danny because he got lost in the explosion, because Danny bought him lunch, and nobody's ever done that before. And he can't understand why somebody would just give you food that wasn't like poisoned or spit in or something. Like, why would somebody just give you food for no reason and just smile about it? Like, he doesn't understand because nobody's ever been kind to him before. So like, he's mostly just trying to go find him out of spite, because like he can't He can't have the dude die with him owing him this amazing gift nobody's given him before of chili dogs. Like he's gotta get an answer to this. But eventually, he's going to be around more people that aren't as nasty as the people he's been around his whole life and is hateful. And you're going to get to see him grow and experience things that he's never experienced before, and see Bellamy start to grow into her own power and, start to be able to take charge of her life and have some agency in her life for once. And, own who she is and not be limited by it. Just because I look scary doesn't mean I have to live my life in shame,
Right.
like I'm the one that did something wrong. And see Danny grow, the training officer, because Danny's just a skinny looking Korean kid. Like, he doesn't look like a scary genome. His ability is a secret up until now. Like, there's a post-it note over it in the source book saying like, this can't be legal. We need to check with HR. But if you're paying attention, by the end of book 4, you're going to know what his power is. You know, if you don't, you're going to be able to look back and be like, oh yeah, okay, I see it now. But it's real subtle. It's not like he can shoot acorns out of his armpits or something, or, turn the world to ice. It's just a little low level power, but he's still a mutant. So he's still a threat as far as the humans are concerned. And the ones that look human are the scariest, because how do we know? That's why they all have to have green stripes on their uniforms, so we can tell them apart from everybody else.
That'd be the green stripes on the building as well then, right?
Yeah. Everything is marked with it. And like some of the gangsters and stuff will like get green tattoos to like be like, I'm permanently marked, I can never go out and hide and pretend like I'm not. But like all of the cops in the G unit, all of the fire department and stuff, they all have stripes on their uniforms, because you got to be able to tell. Because like Danny could just like walk out of the green zone and no one would care. Virgil can't do that looking like a monster.
Right. So you said back a little bit ago, a little bit of difficulty selling to cons when you tell them, it's about cops.
It can be a challenge. I've had to change my pitch and turn the way I come at it.
One of the things that popped in my head is growing up watching TV, your entire life, there was certain things that were always on TV. There was always a cop show, a hospital show, or a fire show. And it was just their popularity would go depending upon how well the writing was, or what an original concept or spin they took on the characters and stuff. So it's definitely a concept that's I'm blanking on the term here. Like in the zeitgeist,
it's worked well for a long time.
There we go.
And I think this would do really well, especially like if it were, say, an animated series or something. I think it would do really well in that field, because you could get through more of the story quicker than the comic books take to get done. But
this project screams cop TV show to me.
Oh yeah, it would be really great for that, and to get to see their personalities and their relationships grow as time goes on, and see them start to bicker and love triangles and all of the soap opera crap that happens in those cop shows, and show them try and bust the bad guys, and they get away and bust some of the bad guys, and bust some people thinking they're bad guys and realizing that they're just trying to feed their kids, and then realize that sometimes the bad guys they're not always bad. Like, they could be terrible people. Like the guy that runs Virgil's block is a really bad guy, and he's a sex trafficker and a drug dealer, and like, he's a bad dude, and he's one of my favorite characters, because like when I really started thinking through who he was as a character, I gave him this power of intimidation, and he's got this jacked up eye that he can just look at you and intimidate almost anybody, except for Virgil. Because
is this your favorite character in the series?
He's one of them. Virgil and Bellamy really have my heart, but Shard, I love him because he has this power of intimidation, and he can scare anybody. He hasn't had to keep up a front of like being big and tough and being hard, so that like he can keep power in his gang. So he can just be exactly whoever he wants to be
Mm.
and still scare the crap out of you.
Okay.
So he can be flamboyantly gay and wear pink silk suits and shit and gold bangles, and he can just be as flamboyant as he wants to be, and he's still a terrifying badass because he still wields a lot of power, and everybody will do whatever he says, and he's in charge. He just doesn't have to like keep up this, you know, persona of being a tough guy. Like,
Mhm.
he can just be whoever he wants to be, and I freaking love that about him because he's
Right.
such a wild character.
So
And
do you think you could crawl into this character's head and be this character for a half-hour segment? Like, speak as him, act as him. I'm pitching another show here. Pops has another show. It's called The Fourth Wall. And,
Oh, yeah?
and what it is the creator comes in and he becomes his character for the show. So it's a way of pitching your book as your character.
It's the opposite of Killer Karen. Instead of being interviewed by characters about your book, Pops comes out and interviews your character about his life. We don't talk about your book at all. I interview your character, and you, in character, respond as he would.
I mean, it is not a problem.
It's a hard show to book.
Being a skinny Filipino dude with
You go
cornrows
behind the
would be a
avatar.
little harder to pull off.
You don't
but-
have to cosplay it. You go behind the
Yeah.
avatar and
Yeah.
just answer the questions.
Yeah.
You know, I paid a dude to build me one of those.
A speaking one that moves.
Yeah, one of the oh Jesus, what do they call it? Anyway,
I don't remember what
we
they
had
call
one
it.
of the VR
Yeah.
puppets of my character, the Mighty Caw, so that I could like do interviews and stuff as the Mighty Caw, this bird barbarian, but he built it kind of janky and things work backwards. So like when his eyes are closed until I like blink my eyes and then he opens his and stuff, and like, you know, it's just a little bit janky, and it bugs the crap out of me because I really wanted to start doing interviews and stuff as the Mighty Caw and like go live as the Mighty Caw and, you know, just be screaming into the camera all the time, you know, the Mighty Caw falls to no man, and you know.
See, you
Awesome.
did it. Look,
Yeah.
We'll hook that up. We'll put you behind an avatar of your character, and we'll
I'll do it for the Mighty Caw any day of the week because he's just fun, man. He's just bloody Saturday morning R-rated action fun.
any character that you can get all the way inside of. That's what I mean. You have to be him. I'm not going to be talking to you about your book. I'm not going to be talking to him about your book.
Mhm.
I'm going to be like, I got dropped into your universe by Crom, and who are you? Why am I here? Where am I? How do I get out of here? What's up with this world? You know, it's like, what do you mean you got powers? Blah, 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 blah. It's just a very organic reaction type interview.
Oh, it'd be
don't-
fun. I
Yeah,
love
I
Caw.
don't-
Oh,
I plan it out ahead of time with you. I react to your answers. My next question will be based on your last answer type stuff. 'Cause,
oh man.
you know what I mean?
I had so much fun during the first campaign. People were asking me so many questions. I put a letter column in the book and had Caw answering the questions. And
Nice.
like some of them were so funny and so interesting, and some of them were like really so sad. And when I really thought through it, like the answers came out way darker than I expected. Because like somebody asked, like just for fun, asked like, what's Caw's favorite food? But Caw spent his entire life in a battle arena fighting every day of his life. Like he was thrown in there as a child, and all of his other broodmates got killed. And he ended up cutting his way out of this monster's stomach with one of his brother's thigh bones. And
Like the Titans.
yeah, and the scream he let out after he got out was where he got his name, and everybody started chanting it. And so every day they would throw him in another fight expecting this kid to die, and he just kept surviving until he became like the deadliest warrior in the galaxy and became the most famous guy in the arena, and accidentally starts a slave rebellion and throws his whole planet into chaos. But when they asked like what's his favorite food, I was like, he learned as a kid, you don't eat the meat they give you in the arena. Like when they feed you behind the scenes, you don't eat that meat because you'll be picking like Cro-Magnon feathers out of your teeth. Like they're feeding you the fallen dudes. So he's like, I would rather eat off of the people I kill in the ring in front of everybody than dare risk eating one of my brothers behind the scene. You know, I will eat the face off of a lizard man, no problems asked, in the middle of the ring, rather than risk, you know, eating burnt Cro-Magnon flesh in the background. And
so taking a bite out of somebody is just part of the normal fight.
Oh yeah, it's no problem whatsoever. Like the second scene of him in the book is him just covered head to toe in blood, you know, because he just slaughtered all these lizard men and stuff.
So,
and
like when he bites somebody's ear off, that's like a pre-dinner hors d'oeuvre, right? He's just tasting it to see if he might.
And there are like some aliens and stuff that he likes better than others. So like there are some that he won't eat because it's nasty, and then there's others that he's like, oh, Ka's going to feast heavy tonight, and like he's coming at you for dinner time, which is a whole different look in the eye than just I'm going to kill you.
Does he have to eat it in the arena in front of everybody, or can he chop a leg off, take it back to the room, and broil it up right?
No, he eats it right then and there, which is why, like, he doesn't know how to cook. He doesn't know, like, there's a scene later on that's going to happen in a future issue where, like, he burns himself reaching for meat in a fire because he's never like made fires and tended a fire, nothing like that. Like he's been either in like a prison in the arena fighting for his life, or eventually he's in like a nice room and they're sending in like lots of Cro-Magnon slave women and stuff, you know, to keep him busy for the night. But he's never had to do patch a hole in his clothes or cook food or like find food in the wild. He's never had to do anything that like he might would have known how to do if he hadn't grown up a slave in the arena. Right. Like he's just been a circus monkey his whole life, and now he's free. And like I said, he accidentally starts a slave rebellion, and then when the whole technologically advanced, you know, race that rules this planet can't keep him, they can't beat him, and all their armies can't stop him, they finally hire some space pirates to just capture him and take him off world, and like just get him out of here, take him somewhere else, and like, you know, and we can handle the rest of the Cro-Magnon rebellion if you just get him out. And so that's where the first issue starts. He's been captured for starting the rebellion, and now he's on the spaceship, and the space pirates think they've really got a prize, and then, you know, he breaks loose and hilarity and carnage ensue.
Nice.
It's I love it so much. I love it so. It's so much fun. Never thought I would cut so many people in half or draw so many like decapitated heads and stuff. Right. It started out, I was trying to keep it all ages friendly, and by the end of the first book, I was like, God, I gotta put like a 17 rating on this because there's just too much. Like there's one point this dude just holding his guts, which again is a story from my life, but I digress. There's just sitting there holding his guts with this look on his face, and you know, it's crazy. I know 2 people have been disemboweled and survived.
So issues 1 through 4. What are your plans? How soon is issue 5 coming?
The trade of issue 4 is going to come out later this year because I'm switching over to Alice Lost in Wonderland, my other series, and that one I've been working on for 30 years. So I'm going to do several issues of it and get it to a good place before I go back to anything else. But I have a lot of other material that has only been seen in a couple other places, like randomly, or hasn't been seen at all. And so I'm going to collect all of that together in the trade. I'm going to make it like a director's cut, and I'm going to re-edit the first 4 issues and add a few pages so I can tell it as one story the way I really wanted to tell it instead of 4 issues. Mm-hmm. And which means I'm going to have to chop up a couple pieces and move them around. So like you start in the morning and you go through the day and stuff instead of them being broken up and split into 4 books. And I'm going to add some pages because, like, when you're trying to keep it down to a page count, especially if you've got an outside publisher like I did originally, then I had to cut out like jokes and things and just bits that I wanted to show of the world that I couldn't. I'm also looking around right now for like writer artist teams that might want to do some short stories for it, to tell little stories about what's going on in other places of the world, just to flesh it out, to show a little bit more of this world rather than just what happened to these 4 guys. Like there's a short story my son illustrated for my anthology book, Fish Tales, that follows a group of superheroes that their job, they're the B team. When like the main superhero dude is off planet or something, they fill in when he's not there. And like one of them has a power suit, like, exoskeleton, and it's got a hologram on it. Kind of looks like Captain Atomic, but not really. And then there's like a shape-shifting alien that can look exactly like him and sound exactly like him, doesn't have any powers, but looks and sounds just like him. And then there's like this kid who's a powerhouse, doesn't look anything like him, so he has to wear a mask. But he's a big, powerful dude, and he can take a punch and take a beating, and he can do a pretty good impersonation if you don't ask him to take the protective mask off. And so like they have to sneak in and out like when they're dealing with somebody and try and figure out like, how do we handle this villain that's expecting Captain Atomic to show up and he's not here. And it was really fun. He killed it on that story. I'd like to do some more stuff to show a little bit more of what's going on in the world and the criminals and stuff, and flesh it out a bit more than what fits normally in the story.
I'll tell you, Fish, there are a ton of writers and a ton of artists and quite a few teams in the Madness Facebook group that are always looking for stuff to do. Always.
What is the page count on this book?
Oh man, this one, issue 4, is 24 pages, and I think the other ones are all 24 pages too. I can't remember.
Yeah.
One of them might be 28. I think they're all 24 pages.
Right.
The trade is going to be like 140 or something.
Oh,
like
wow.
it's going to be a big book.
You're adding a whole nother issue in there.
Oh yeah, like I'm going to probably add a good 8 to 10 pages, I'm thinking right now, to the story to get it where I really want to be. And then like I've got a series that I did for A Kid in a Comic, if you know what that is like a newsprint Sunday Morning Funnies strip. I've got like 6 issues of a strip that I did for that is like the biggest superhero in this world, the oldest superhero. He's kind of like a cross between, he's Capital Punishment. He's like a cross between Captain America and the Punisher. And, he was a propaganda hero in World War II, and he's just too mean to die. So he's super old. He never takes his suit off anymore because he's burned from head to toe from like acid and lasers and stuff. Like he's in constant pain. He's in this rubber suit all the time. Like he's just a miserable old man with PTSD, and he hangs out at this bar every night just drinking himself unconscious. And so the strip is basically like him at the bar every night rambling on some story about the past, and you see little glimpses of stuff, and you realize as it goes on, like he's got like this biker and a construction worker that work as like his bodyguards at the end of the bar, and they keep like fans from getting to him. They keep him from getting to people in the bar when he gets too drunk and starts swinging. And you find out as you're reading the comic, like they used to be henchmen that he beat up all the time. Like he's the reason one dude is missing an eye, and he's the reason the other dude has these cauliflower ears and stuff.
Right.
Like they've taken a beating forever from this guy. But for some reason now they're willing to risk their life for him every night for free after work to hang out at this bar and stop people from getting to him and stop him from getting to people. And he's earned their loyalty somewhere along the way. And like one of the villains that he's fought a bunch, a villain that goes on to be the main bad guy in the Mighty Caw down the road a million years in the future, like one of these big bad villains, he sits down and has a beer with him, towards the end of it. And at the end, they kind of like fight together against Carlos, who's the bad guy in Green Zone. But it's just fun. All of those strips are going to be in there. Everything I've ever done with Capital Punishment is going to be in there, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. It's going to help flesh out the world. Like, some genomes get to go pro and be heroes. Like, if you look good enough and you have a cool power and you test good with audiences, like, there's an organization, Alpha, that will hire you and they will make you a superhero and they'll send you on missions around the world saving the day. But that's few and far between.
I love the fact that you involved your family members in this. I did the same thing on my book with my son. You know, and it's not just free labor. It's
he's so good. He's so talented. Like, it kind of pisses me off because he's so much better than I was at his age. But I didn't have anybody giving me advice. I didn't have another artist who knew what they were doing, who could look at my stuff and say, "Oh, here's what you can do to make that better. Here's a tip." You know, like, look at it in a mirror and you'll see that face is a little skewed and you can fix it. And
the voice I have repeating in my head from as a small child is my mother's going, "Levi, the world doesn't need another starving artist. Why don't you be a lawyer?"
Right. Look, I've had such a great time with this. We've already rolled an hour and a half. Okay. I try to keep this show under 2 hours, so I'm going to do something I normally wait until like 10 minutes before the end of the show to do, but because Bish has a lot to say,
I'll talk.
Do it now, okay? I usually try to make sure that our guests cover everything they want to cover. Okay, I don't ever want a guest to leave and go, "Man, I didn't get to talk about this," or "Man, I didn't talk about that. Pop never asked me about that." So I give them the podium at the end of the show. Usually they can do it in about 10 minutes.
I haven't had it up until now.
I figure usually they can do it in about 10 minutes, but Fish probably going to need about 20.
Fish, you've been a great guest. Seriously.
Yeah.
Great guest.
Welcome to Monday Madness After Dark, because we're going late today, baby.
We actually had a show called Monday Madness After Dark back in the day. Nobody would watch. I mean, it was like early, and I didn't hardly have any subscribers, but we did like a more mature, covered the stuff that was you couldn't do in the daytime, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whoa, what's up, Shan? Hens, what's happening? Sorry. I ain't seen this guy in a long time. What's up, brother? You must have something new to promote here soon too, I'm sure. There's another one. We got creators. They're everywhere. There's so much good indie stuff out there.
Oh man, there are so many awesome stories out there. Okay, so many.
Is an amazing artist. She's done work for the Slaughterville campaign.
Oh yeah.
Chris does. Hold up. He writes novels. He writes graphic novels. He has a tabletop game and a RPG game, all of the same universe. Slaughterville. And then he's got, other games, Gods of Metal and Gone Hunting and the new one, Escargot. Dude's always popping stuff out. And it's like, I think you guys probably going to end up being friends because you both work.
Oh, man, that's all I do. You know like I said, after spending 15 years in a wheelchair, I don't take a single day for granted now. Like, the fact that I can do anything at all when I spent literal years, like, the only real communication I could do was tapping with one hand on my phone screen to talk to people online. But I found Tourette's groups, and I ended up becoming an online Tourette's advocate and helping walk parents who getting their kids diagnosed and dealing with, what this is going to be, and it's not the end of the world and blah, blah, blah. Like, the fact that I can do what I'm doing now, admittedly, I only get to do comics as a living because I'm disabled and nobody else would hire me. Like, nobody wants to hire the guy that might not be able to drive on Tuesday and can't talk on Wednesday. Yeah. But I can work from my recliner all day long. And I don't have to talk because most of my communication's on Messenger. So as long as I got a couple of the fingers in one eye, I can communicate with my clients. And
the reason I brought Chris up is because Chris also uses BackerKit. And Chris is one of them people that will cross promote. He will go out and talk about your stuff. He is that kind of guy. So maybe next time you're doing a BackerKit, you might talk to him and see if you guys can work together.
I'm definitely gonna I'm definitely interested in doing Comictopia next year again, or doing it this year, I guess, when they do it again, because I got the most backers on that I've gotten on anything so far. I didn't raise the most money because a whole lot of them were digital backers, but that's awesome. I mean, I love that. I love digital backers. You're all my friends. I love you.
They're my favorite because they don't cost nothing.
Oh yeah. I mean, my last campaign, over half of my backers were digital backers, and I mean that's an email. I'm actually working now on trying to make my digital content more interesting and do like narrated readings of the books, because I also know, like, because of the Tourette's and stuff, I have a lot of fans with Tourette's. I have a lot of fans with dyslexia and things like that want to be supportive but have trouble actually like reading books. And like I've got a couple of fans that are like, oh yeah, I've got all your books. I haven't read them, but I've got all your books. They look amazing, but they struggle with reading. And I'm like, dude, it literally would take me nothing to do a narrated reading like we used to do as a kid, like with the little cassette, and when the people chimes, you turn the page, and
when R2D2 makes a noise like this.
Oh, I love that so much. I almost quoted that.
Yeah, have people in the madness that love to do this kind of stuff that you can get to come out and you can give them.
That's the thing. I would like to do more than just me reading it. I would like to have some voice actors like help me do it.
That's what I'm saying. We have people.
But in that case, I need some ladies and some guys and stuff. And you know, like I found a dude for Virgil on TikTok that has this amazing voice, and he does it in a way that I never would have expected. And it's kind of got this grumbly Southern old man feeling to it. It's so amazing. I love it. But I need to find people for everything else.
We have a bunch of people in the network that love to get involved in stuff like that. I like to do voice work. You know, I did some for Lori. I'm Dwayne, bro.
Okay. All right. I can hear it now. Yeah. I can hear it now. I was wondering, I know that's not Lori. Like, I mean, I was wondering who it was that was doing the voice for that.
Yeah, we actually have Flip City wanting to do a show based on comic readings where people come out and everybody gets a character and we go through the whole book, you know. The possibilities are endless right here. Anything you want to do, throw it at us.
Oh man, that would be so
we'll
cool.
Try anything because
like,
people watch, we keep doing it. You know?
I definitely want to do that, especially for the trade. You know, have a reading over the whole thing. I also thought about doing a motion comic version of it, because I do a lot of that for the videos and stuff for the campaigns anyway. And I was like, just go through the book and do a little motion comic of it and have all the voices and stuff. So you know, make that an extra, like a private YouTube video that you get access to if you back the super digital level, you know, that gets you all the extra doodads, and, you know, maybe have some voice diaries from Virgil and Brooks and Bellamy and stuff that you can hear, find out a little bit more about them and their motivations and where they come from and stuff. But yeah, Green Zone is an awesome world. If you haven't checked it out, late pledges are still open. GoMrFish.com will take you right there to it. Or just go type Green Zone in one word and it'll take you right there on Kickstarter. Late pledges are going to stay open probably for another week or two. I'm probably going to close it when I place the order for all the books, because I'm not ordering a bunch of crazy extra books this time. Usually I order great big print runs, but because this is issue 4 and I only have so many of issue 2 and 3, I'm just going to make sure I have enough to equal everything up, and that's it. Right. The trade's going to have a really big print run. That one I'm going to go nuts on. So there'll be lots of extras on that. But that'll be at the end of the year. My next book coming up is going to be issue 1 and 2 of my Alice Lost in Wonderland series, which is a really amazing story. That's the one I said I've been working on that one for 30 years. And speaking of getting to work with your kids, my son colored half of this book. And I'm telling you, you would be hard pressed to tell which pages he colored and which pages I colored. He did an absolutely amazing job on it. It came out so beautiful. And in this book, Alice has been lost in an interdimensional rift of Wonderland her entire life. She's been here for decades now. She's grown into like this really badass bounty hunter.
Right.
And she's got like the broken hilt of the Vorpal sword that'll cut through reality, and she's got the Tin Man by her side, and they go on these adventures. She makes her living hunting the things that go bump in the middle of the night. And all of these different creatures that you know from all of these different public domain worlds are aliens and robots and monsters and ghosts from other dimensions that have all come crashing together into this interdimensional rift. And some places call it Neverland, some places call it, Oz, but it's all this same rift. And so she's lived her whole life here. She gets bound by this magical contract to have to hunt down the White Rabbit, who's the guy that brought her here in the first place. He picked her up trying to save her life. He had the whole sword that would let him cut through reality. He was trying to save her from bad guys that would have ended up killing her. And then once he saved her, he couldn't figure out how to get her back home. And because there's a lot of dimensions out there. So he tried to raise her, and he did a really crappy job, and she grew up to hate him. And now she's bound by this contract to have to hunt down her stepdad, essentially, and deliver him to the Queen of Hearts, who's a warlord in Glass City, and has sworn to kill Alice and Big Ten on sight. So now she's magically bound to have to go capture her stepdad and deliver her to the lady that's going to kill her if she shows up. And, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, that's a catch-2200.
Yeah, and I mean, she spent her life trying to hunt him down, like from her teenage years on, because she really has a chip on her shoulder, and it's really messed up. Like, it's become a story. Like I said, I've been working on it for 30 years. It started out as a story about like a power fantasy. If you had this sword that would let you go anywhere and do anything, like no rules. But the older I got, and the more experience I got in my life, the more my life bled into it. And like, I'm an adoptive father. So, what if he adopted a kid? And, and the whole, you can try and do everything right and try not to make the mistakes that your parents made, and you'll make a whole new set of mistakes, and you could still have your kids grow up and hate you anyway, even though you tried your best. And, you can try your best to lay these things so that they won't make the same mistakes that you made, and they'll make whole new mistakes. It could be way worse. And, just all of these things blended together to make it such an interesting story. And over the years, the time travel nonsense has just gotten woven into this really deep tapestry of this happens because that happened in the future, because that happened in the past, because she did this, because they did that, because this, and it just, as you start to unravel everything and see where it all leads, it just becomes this amazing mosaic of how intertwined all these characters are. It's freaking awesome. I love this story so much. And I tried self-publishing this story, just about 30 years ago. I tried self-publishing this as an Ashcan story. And because at the time I was 21 and I wanted to show everybody how grown up I was at 21, I filled it through with as much violence and graphic nudity and just swearing and just as much nastiness as I could possibly pack into it, because I was an adult now, and that's what adults do. And so I ended up with this Ashcan comic that nobody would buy, nobody would sell. If I was going to put it in your comic shop, it had to be wrapped in brown paper so nobody could see it, sealed in plastic so nobody could peek into it, in the back curtain, behind the beaded curtain where you got to show your ID, and they wanted like 80% of the cover price just to hold it on consignment.
Right.
I couldn't print a comic on a Xerox machine for that price.
Hold on. Do you still have any of those?
There is one lost in the wild. There is one that I gave to a dude that's lost in the wild, and I have 2 copies hidden away at the house somewhere. I still can't show my kids. They have kids. I cannot show my kids this book. It is disgusting.
I collect Ashcans.
Some of the best art I ever did.
I collect Ashcans.
Not this one, you don't.
I want one. I want one.
There's already one in the wild. I search eBay every once in a while for it just to see if I can find it. There's one in the wild out there. I don't want it out there with my name on it, so I keep looking for it to try and find it so I can buy it up. I'm so glad that there's not 100 copies of it out there with my name on it right now. I mean,
I won't show it to anybody, but
it had the same it had the same core of a story, but it wasn't as good and as deep as it is now. But it did have things in it, like in the middle, it had a fold-out pinup of Catholic schoolgirl getting raped by a female demon, and I wanted to make it as offensive as I possibly could. Yeah. I was going to send copies of this out to televangelists to try and get blurbs for the back of it, which is funny coming from a guy who is, as I said, an ordained pastor now.
Right.
I made this thing as insulting as I possibly could, and the main story arc was a thinly veiled critique of how much I hated Christians. See, another, funny little paradox.
You just said more than I would have ever said about it after receiving it. You see what I'm saying? I don't need to tell anybody I got it. I just need it for my collection. You see what I'm saying? It's like I don't show everybody everything. Levi knows. I can't show everybody everything.
No, you can't show nobody that because it's cool.
I'm a Tim Vigil fan, so this sounds like it's right up my alley. So
yeah, I was so proud of it, and it still to this day has some of the best brush artwork I've ever done, because this was back when I inked everything by hand with a brush and ink, and which I've had to relearn how to draw like 3 separate times throughout my life, because after I learned to master a brush just because Todd McFarlane said it was too hard, and nobody would want to mess with that because it's too hard. And I was like, I'll show you, and I got really good at it. And then my hand got too shaky for it, so I had to relearn how to draw with pens and stuff, because I couldn't be trusted to have a bottle of ink around open anymore. And you only get to drop that on the carpet once before the wife's like, no, that's done. And so I had to relearn how to draw in ink with pens, and then I had to relearn how to do it digitally after the Tourette's was so bad and stuff. And originally I needed the digital tools to help fix my shakiness, but now I can go all day, and I'm back to being able to do like some traditional art and stuff every once in a while. Like I was drawing this for Mog and Mel's show on SketchUp, and this got bought by one of the viewers on the show that night. So I can still do it now, but now I'm like, man, digital's so easy and so fast. And
that was a reference to our friend Mog Park.
Oh, she's the best. She is at the top of my do anything for list, and she is the sweetest person in the world.
I've been following her for a long time. I don't even remember where I first saw her at, but I think it had to have come through Lady Death and a couple of, let's see, what degrees of separation from the Polito crowd. And that's how I found Mog, because she was doing something for somebody else who was doing something with Brian, and it was like, you know how that works. You tell 2 friends, they tell 2 friends.
Oh man, I got introduced to her when a friend of mine was going to be on her show, and was like, they asked my friend if she knew any artists that would want to come on, to help fill space because they were short that week. And she's like, oh yeah. And she invited a couple of us, and we hit it off. And now I'm on the show like almost every other week or so now. And absolutely love her. I got to meet her at C2E2, and we're sitting there talking, and I'm so tall that people don't realize looking at me on a screen that I'm nearly 6.5 feet tall. And so when they see this mountain of a man standing there, it doesn't usually connect to them that, oh, that's Fish. It's this big on the screen. Right. And so it took a minute, and then all of a sudden she comes out and she hugs me and everything. We're standing there talking, and all of a sudden she disappears, and I'm looking, and I look down. She is on the ground because she saw my shoe was untied, and she bent down to tie it, which was the kindest, sweetest thing anybody's ever done for me in my life. I didn't know it was untied, but if I had known, I would have left it for 8 hours, because I was in way too much pain at that point to ever be able to bend down and touch my foot to to tie it.
That's probably
And
what she was thinking. This is probably a lot easier for me to do than it is for
she
him.
didn't even think, she didn't ask, she just, that needed to be done, and she did it. And that got her the top spot on my list. Like, the only person I would argue with about that list is maybe my wife. Maybe the two of them are neck and neck. But that was the kindest thing anybody I've ever known has done for me the day I met them in person.
Yeah,
So she's
cool.
the best.
She is cool. She's really cool. Man, I hate to end this, but guys, I got to get under the 2-hour mark so I can get StreamYard to make all my AI stuff for all my AI shorts clips for me.
I wonder if there'll be anything funny to clip out of this. It'll just be drug use and getting guns pulled on us by the cops. Everything else will be the scrap pile.
It'll kind of like be the same as every other show. No, I'm kidding. That is one thing I can say, man. You never know what you're going to get when you come out to one of our madness shows, because we try to bring in new people all the time. We're always trying to give you something different, trying different types of shows. We want you guys to like the network. Now, like any network, you're not going to like everything on the network. Okay? You don't like everything.
Oh, my wife hates Killer Karen. Oh, my God.
You know what I mean? You don't like everything on any network. Okay? There's going to be stuff that you don't like, and you don't have to watch that. That's cool. But there's a lot of stuff that you will like if you give the network a chance. There really is. There's shows like this. We have 4 different draw streams. 3 of them are open for people to join in. We got all kinds of stuff, man. And, you know, like you said, the Fourth Wall shows and the Killer Karen shows and just stuff trying to be fun and entertaining. But then at the same time, we want to promote what these guys are all doing. You know, so you got to find a way to do it all and mesh it all together. It looks like everything just froze. Okay, it's back. I didn't know if I got kicked offline or what. That happens a lot out here in the boonies. Levi knows. Fish, man, thank you so much for coming out, for giving us a couple hours of your time, man. And
absolutely,
I expect to see more of you. Okay.
Oh, look, man, I'm always around, man.
We do launch parties. We do countdowns. We do all that kind of stuff. So, you know, like next time you're getting ready to launch something, hit me up, man. We'll put your launch party on 8 different platforms. We'll put you out there everywhere.
That'd be cool, man.
You know, not just on
I'm always live streaming them anyway. Might as well get it out to as many different eyes as we possibly can.
That's how we do it, man. We have 8 destinations of our own we can send it to, and then 6 more of guests. When guests come in, they can add theirs. So we can literally go to 14 different platforms out of StreamYard. So, you know,
cool beans.
This is what we do. Promotion is key. Networking is king. You guys take care of each other, and the sales will take care of themselves.
Absolutely.
It really is that easy, man. If you guys are all bouncing off each other's fan bases and you're taking care of each other, those other
and you just make lots of cool friends, and that gives you so many cool opportunities. Like making friends with Mog made Green Zone 4 a better book, because like when I had this character that's Danny's mom, a Korean lady, like I was asking her, like, because Danny's mom moved over from Korea. I was like, okay, you moved over when you were a kid. Like, how would your mom react in this situation? And when she told me what her mom would do, I was like, oh my God. When I changed the story from her just being a character to like be the mom and fill the role, right, to like that's what she would do, it changed everything. I ended up having to like add a page to the story and stuff, and like it fundamentally changed his dad's reaction, her reaction. Like it's made me cry, it's made the editor cry, and I can't wait to see how many people it's going to make cry when they read this book, when they see her reaction to it. And
it brought more believability to it.
Oh man, it kind of feels out of left field at the beginning, but then like that's why I added another page, so you could see that like she lives this out. This is how she reacts to stuff, and it's this way now. This is what we're doing. Everybody better fall in line, because I made a decision, and this is where we're going. And I freaking love it. I gave Mog creative consultant credit on the inside cover. I just finished that before the show. Because like she fundamentally changed where the story's going from here on out, because like it makes it so much more interesting now. And I freaking love that. But that's the kind of stuff when people work together.
Yeah. You're muted,
Oh,
Pops.
you're mute.
That's what networking stuff. It makes everybody's networking does. It makes everybody's stuff better.
Yep.
You get ideas, you get insight, you get other people's not opinion, but an outside look at what you're doing that gives you sometimes something you find better. That's what it's all about. People take care of each other. Levi, you know what we do. Mr. Fish, tell everybody exactly where you like them to interact with you. So if somebody needs to get a hold of you, they can.
I am Mr. Fish Comics on all the social media sites. I'm probably most active on TikTok and YouTube most of the time, but like Facebook Messenger is about the best place to get a hold of me, and that's Fish Lee if you want my personal account and not the comic book account. But go MrFish.com, the short link here. That will take you to what I'm working on now, which right now is late pledges for Green Zone. In a couple of weeks, that's going to be pre-launch for Alice Lost in Wonderland. So go MrFish.com will take you to what I'm working on now. So that's a really good place to go.
I'm looking forward to hopefully having us a launch party for that Lost in Wonderland. I'm looking forward to that, man, because I want to go a little deeper into that with you.
It's juicy, man.
We got a lot of shows. We can bring you back. Okay, we talk about something completely different. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You got so much stuff in your body of work that, yeah, man, you're welcome out here anytime, bro. And
I appreciate it.
If you want to just bring your show here, so we don't have to drag you out here ourselves, you can just bring your show to the network, and then everybody will see you on the regular. You know,
I appreciate
it. Up to you, man. We can talk.
We'll talk about it.
Levi, where can people find you, bud?
They can find me Saturday through Tuesdays on the Madness Entertainment Group. You can go to the meg.tv for scheduling. The rest of the time, you can find me on Zitter under @LeviSkeen. Go back my comic book, GalaxyMemorialPark.com.
Put that back up there. There you go.
There you go.
Go check it out, people.
Yeah.
And me, you guys know me. I'm here all the time. So, hey, if you see this on the replay and you actually watched it to this point in the show, thank you so much. Drop a comment down there. Let us know what you thought about it. It helps trigger the algorithm for all the other great upcoming shows. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Peace, everybody.
So, in honor of your filming and what's going to be shown on Friday, I got a 10-second spot I'm going to throw out before I end this. Later, everybody.
I don't know why, but you are watching the Madness Comic Network. Are you mental?
On the tube and feel the vibe. Every show you crave right here live. Heroes and villains clash in the night. Madness Comic Network sets it right. Scroll through the list, find what you need. Epic battles and fast-paced speed. From capes to cosmic space delight. Tune in and watch your favorites ignite. On Facebook, share the thrill so grand. On X, the buzz across the land. Madness Comic Network all around. In every episode, joy is found. Uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends. Catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join the craze. Madness Comic brightens days. New uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends. Catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join the craze. Madness Comic.